everyone. Welcome back to another episode with the Crime and Coffee Couple. My name's Allison.
And my name's Mike.
Hello, Mike.
Hey, Alexander. Allison. I guess Alexander isn't your name.
Alexander Hamilton.
That was a good show. Good show. I'm glad it got like all the people who got excited about it and I watched it. It's not something I would normally watch. Hamilton, that musical.
You're not a musical guy?
I'm not going to say I'm not a musical guy, but I wouldn't search one out on my own.
I will tell you who is not a musical guy is our son. He is like vehemently against musicals.
You are so right. You just mentioned it. He's like, I don't like musicals. I don't like it. It's like, well, maybe open your mind a little bit, buddy. Maybe you might like one someday. I mean, admittedly, I was like that at one point, and there was one that really surprised me. And do you remember which one that would be?
Sweeney Todd?
Yes.
Oh, I cannot believe I guessed that.
Well, it's because we didn't expect it to be a musical. I probably would have never given it a chance had I not known. But oh my gosh, what an amazing movie. I love it through and through. It like surprised me at every twist and turn. And again, you're thinking, Mike, you don't like true crime and gore and stuff, but that is a super gory movie. And I love the darkness of it, how he's like joking and laughing and kind of just singing about murdering.
Johnny Depp.
Oh, it's amazing. It's
the demon barber of Fleet Street.
Yeah. So check it out this Christmas season. I think that's a great Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm. Very. Just gather the kids around and just watch people's necks being sliced open.
And then dumped into a hole.
Just quickly into the hole, into the incinerator, I think it was.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Very family friendly. Yeah. So what else is going on with you?
I had a beautiful, lovely dinner last night. I went out to Fleming's, it's called. Is that like a chain?
It is a chain. I'm not sure if it's across the country in the United States. I don't think it's elsewhere, but it's a steak place.
Yeah, steak and seafood. Mostly steak, but yeah, it was for work. Otherwise, I would never be eating there. And got to take out a client and stuff and had one of those seafood towers. That's when you know you're eating well. And oh man, I had some lobster and shrimp. And Allison's like, I wish I could have a seafood tower someday. And I said, well, married to me, you'll probably never be able to. And I'm sorry.
I said, I will probably die having never had a seafood tower, because a lot of the restaurants that we go to that has a seafood tower, I look at it, it's like $250. I'm like, well, there goes that.
Yeah, and this one wasn't as bad as that, but still not cheap. It was like $180, I think, and it was awesome. I mean, I love seafood and crustaceans and such, shellfish in general, but it was awesome. I had a good meal.
I'm not a lover of seafood, but I would be open to trying it.
That's the weird thing. You were like, I really want to try it. I'm like, well, you don't like oysters.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm not into oysters.
And shrimp, you're okay with.
I always wonder if people actually like oysters, because by the time you put all your accoutrements on it, do you really taste it anymore?
No, not at all. I think I call them like fancy chicken wings. They're kind of like for the upper echelon chicken wings. It's like, because you get like 12 of them, you can share them, and it's kind of social. It's like sushi. Like, I don't think sushi's really that good.
Oh, I love sushi.
Like, I'm not going to choose sushi over a burger. Like a cheeseburger with like fries. Like, what tastes better, a cheeseburger and fries or sushi?
I mean, it depends on my mood. There are certain times where I'm like, oh, I could go for a good burger, and then there's other times where I'm like, oh, I would kill some sushi right now.
But you like genuinely love the taste of sushi?
Genuinely, yes.
I mean, I don't dislike it. I love soy sauce. I use it as an agent to get the soy sauce into my mouth. But besides that, it's like it all tastes very similar, I think, like slimy and, cold fish.
Definitely not slimy. I should hope not. I don't know what sushi places you're going to, but my sushi has never tasted slimy.
Cheapest of the cheap.
One of my favorites, and it's one of the cheaper ones, is a Mexican roll. That is always my favorite roll. It's all cooked. Nothing's raw in there. It's like shrimp tempura, and it's just divine.
Yeah.
Perfection.
You want to tell our listeners what else is going on this week with our little Sonny, our 17-year-old son?
Our 17-year-old, who will be watching this because he edits our YouTube videos. We got an email from his chemistry teacher yesterday, and Mike started laughing at the kitchen table. I'm like, what? And he's like, oh, we got an email from Cam's teacher. I was like, oh no, okay, what?
And I'm going to read a little bit of it. So it's like 2 paragraphs. The first paragraph was the entire class. Like, I guess they're just venting. Unruly. She's like, this is the worst period of my entire day. And
hands down, without comparison, this is the worst class of my day. It's like, okay, I don't know what you want us to do about that.
Right. So then that was a copy and paste to everybody. But then everybody got their own individual note about their student. And this was ours. So here we go. This week, I'm pretty sure Cameron took a shot of vinegar that I had in the room. This is chemistry, by the way. So there's things all over the place. I'm sure it said vinegar, but like, what if she just put like some hydrochloric acid in the vinegar bottle?
Right. I mean, that would be very irresponsible of her to do, but you don't consume things orally in a chemistry classroom.
Yeah. And she said, like, what? I didn't see him do it, but his friend sort of ratted him out. I don't know why he is even touching the bottle, much less consuming it. It is irresponsible and immature to act this way in a chemistry class. classroom. And I wholeheartedly agree.
And sometimes I say, how in the hell did I give birth to this human being?
And this is the same kid. I don't know if we told you guys or not, but he had raw kidney beans in another class.
I think he said it was the same class.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So this, Cam, come on, buddy. You got to do better.
Please. Sometimes I do say, I'm like, I would think it had to have been a switched at birth situation, but his sister looks exactly like him.
And
he looks a lot like you, like his eyes and stuff.
Yeah, I've been known to do dumb crap. You know, boys, we're dumb. So it's just just things that you don't think and just do, and then you make people laugh. I get it, but just a little safer. And like, don't make us look like bad parents. And that's what it looks like.
And that's what he's all about, is just getting a laugh out of people. And we were reflecting about something he did when he was in kindergarten, which I think we've mentioned once before. But we got an email at Veterans Day and basically thanking us for our service in the military.
Which was super nice.
And I said, well, I work full time as a clinical dietitian and Mike is in sales. We've never worked a day in our lives in the military. So that's not us.
Yeah. And she went on to explain that she was like, oh, anybody have military parents in this class? And our son raised his hand for no reason whatsoever.
Yes. So that's what we're dealing with here.
That's our boy. We still love him. We still love you, buddy.
Oh my gosh. Piece of work. Anywho, are you ready to jump into this cup of coffee?
I am.
It's hot. It's dark.
It's ready to go.
And this is the murder of Breck Bednar. So the internet can be a very powerful tool that connects us to friends, communities, and opportunities that we otherwise wouldn't normally have. But it can also be a dangerous place where those looking to prey on the young and vulnerable can be lurking. And the scary reality is that predators are not rare. They're anywhere where teens are chatting. And since groomers can be highly skilled, a teen is likely unable to realize that they're in danger. So teens also oftentimes overestimate their ability to identify danger. I know our children do, because every time we bring it up to them, they're like, oh, come on, guys, we know. We won't tell anyone where we live. So they're overestimating that they can sense this danger. And this is something that just makes them that much more vulnerable. So since young people are spending so much more time online than the typical adult, concerns regarding online safety have only increased as the years have gone on. So on a quiet February evening in 2014, 14-year-old Breck Bednar told his family that he was going to a friend's house nearby. So when he left the safety of his home, he was actually meeting someone that he had only ever known online for just a little over a year. So Breck was an incredibly bright, remarkable teen, and he loved gaming like most teenagers do. He loved coding and connecting with friends online, and when he went out to meet this online friend in person, he wasn't worried at all because in his mind, this was someone that he trusted as a friend. So since online grooming normally starts with the illusion of a friendship, in the beginning stages, it rarely resembles a dangerous situation. Predators often approach their victims on platforms where children feel comfortable. Their gaming servers, chat apps, social media, or internet-based communities. Since the predator often mirrors their victim's interest, a sense of trust is gradually established, and that person starts to feel understood. And that is a groomer's goal. If you like something, they like something. If you feel something, they understand it, because they want you to feel like, oh my gosh, someone finally gets me. Because we all know that the teenage years can be a very tumultuous, confusing time. It's nice to feel understood. So over time, a groomer begins to gradually isolate their victim, slowly convincing them that their friends and family don't understand them like they do. So by the time red flags start to pop up, a teen is likely already emotionally tied to their groomer, they're vested, and they are fully in. So because predators rarely push their boundaries right away, over time, many victims naturally begin to voluntarily share personal information that they probably would have never shared in the beginning. Like we always tell our kids, you'd never tell someone online where you live, that sort of thing.
Never send any nude pictures of any sort because they can be used as blackmail. And these people will be like, hey, I'm going to share this picture with your parents if you don't do this and this and this.
Right. It gets used against them and manipulates them. So the thing is that we're talking about a long burn here. And if you're talking to somebody online on a daily basis for a year, they might feel like almost a best friend. So you think, well, at this point in time, I can tell them where I live because I trust them. They're my friend. So when the trust is fully established, the victim will feel comfortable enough to start sharing things. Like I said, their address. They might agree to meet in person. So little did Breck know, but for over the course of a year, someone had been weaving a web around him that left him manipulated, isolated, and controlled the way that he started to see the world. The trust that was built was about to be used against him in the most horrific way possible. So Breck Bednar was born on March 17th, 1999 in Surrey, England, to American parents Breck Bednar and Lorin Lefebvre. In 1996, 3 years before Breck was born, the couple moved from the United States to England for Barry's line of work as an oil trader. So when Breck was 2 years old, his mom gave birth to triplets, 2 girls and 1 boy, Carly, Chloe, and Sebastian. So from the beginning, it was very clear that Breck was super mature. He was responsible. He was caring. Even as a tiny little boy, he anticipated other people's needs, which is so remarkable to me. His mom would say that even as young as 2 years old, he would help her gather supplies to help her with her his infant siblings. So obviously, I can't imagine they must have been up to their eyeballs because it was hard for us to take care of 1 infant, let alone 3 at the same time.
Yeah, sounds like a sweet boy.
And he was responsible and mature enough at 2 to realize his mom needed some help. And that is unbelievable to me. So he just was someone too that loved to fix things, and not just fix things, but he liked to understand how things worked. So he would oftentimes take things apart and then put them back together. So he knew all the intricacies of things. And Lorin recalls just how really easy it was to raise Breck because he was just always so much fun. He was laid back, he was responsible, he was kind, he was everything any parent would want. She didn't have to harp on him because he just did what needed to be done. So in 2006, sadly, Barry and Lorin divorced, but they were sure to put their children's needs first. So as they started to separate, the kids were transitioning now between their mom and dad's homes. They just wanted them to feel safe and secure during this time. So when Breck started his new school after the divorce, he was reconnected with previous friends from where he attended primary school. So here he was invited into a gaming group, and the boys would often hang out together at school, and then they would all rush home to put their headsets on and sit down and play a game together online. And this was a situation that Lorin was extremely comfortable with because not only did she know the boys that Breck was playing with online, she also knew their parents, and she trusted them. So his younger siblings could often be found gathered behind him because they truly idolized their big brother. So Breck had a love of technology and computers. And like I said, with other things, computers in general, he would dismantle them. He would want to know how were they built. And he was extremely resourceful. So he would save his money that he got for his birthday or for Christmas, and then he would sell and exchange parts so that he could develop the exact setup that he liked. So as he got older, his gaming setup transitioned from the common area of the home into his bedroom where he had 3 monitors in place. He would play games like Call of Duty and Battlefield, and while he was doing this, he would have his headset on with his microphone and he would be chatting with his friends. Very typical. If you have a teenager, I'm sure this is something you see all the time.
Especially teenage boys and screaming and yelling and all sorts of crap.
So since he kept his door open, Lorin was still able to see and hear what her son was up to. And since the situation was very typical for a teen, Lorin never one time questioned her son's safety at that point. So it wasn't until the day she clearly remembers when peppered amongst the familiar sound of the voices that she came to know on a daily basis, these were kids that her son went to school with, suddenly she started noticing a deeper sounding voice that she didn't recognize. So the voice sounded a lot more mature than someone that was 13 or 14 years old. So she was immediately concerned. And when she talked to Breck about this, he indicated that it was a person who actually ran the server that they all used. And this was called TeamSpeak. So this was where his friends played their games, very similar to Discord. So not only could they message one another while they were playing together, they could also talk to each other using their microphones and headsets. So Breck told his mom that this was his new friend, Lewis, and he was a 17-year-old who was great with technology. And despite the fact that he was literally only 17, he had his own business and he had his own apartment in New York City. So he also worked for the U.S. government in a contract that allowed him to work his own hours.
I mean, it's possible. You know, there's some 17-year-old whiz kids that are great hackers and who knows. And it's like, well, that'd be really cool if you got connected to somebody like that. But at the same time, definitely red flags.
Right. And you think about there are teenagers who make these apps, develop these apps, and then they sell them for millions of dollars. This happens. Right. But is it common? Probably not. So as Lorin learned that her son's new friend was Louis Daines, who went by the screen name Eagle16, he portrayed himself as someone that was living this incredible life for a 17-year-old or even an adult. So at the same time, though, he was able to have a connection with Breck and his friends. He had a lot in common with them. So since Lewis was the administrator of the chat that they were utilizing, he had the ability to mute and expel members at his own discretion. So basically, he did have a sense of control over these 14-year-old boys. So with her son being only 14, Lorin felt uncomfortable about Breck playing with someone that was several years older. And you might think, well, it's only 3 years. But the difference between a 14 and a 17-year-old can be pretty extensive.
Yeah, and at that age, our son was kind of afraid to talk online because he didn't want his higher voice to anybody to make fun of his voice at the time. And it was a little bit before it dropped, but it was like, just talk, man, talk to these people.
So when she would voice her concerns to her son, though, Breck was very quick to defend Lewis. So when she questioned, how does he manage to play online for hours and hours at a time if he's truly running this successful company, Breck explained that he made his own schedule so he could work whenever he wanted to. He said that Lewis wasn't ever able to show his face online because of the line of work that he was in. Of course, he's saying he's working for the U.S. government.
Sure.
So inevitably, though, she noticed that there was always an answer to whatever question she was asking about Lewis. So Lorin herself even chatted with Lewis online because she liked to know her son's friends. And that's something that we like to do too.
Yeah, that's amazing. She sounds like she's doing all the right things.
Super responsible. So she wanted to know who he was as a person. But when she would ask him specific questions about his life in New York, she couldn't help but notice that his answers were very much vague. So each evening, Lorin liked to make dinner, and that's how we are. We like to prepare dinner so that we can all sit down around the kitchen table together. And if you're not a parent of teenagers, sometimes it almost feels like you're living with strangers.
Right.
Because they go off and they do their own things.
Yeah, it's almost like they're zombies, like working through the night and be like, second shifters and whatever, and be like, hey, you want some chicken? Okay, here you go. And then, all right, see you later.
So dinner is that time that we can all sit at the table and talk to one another, and that's how Lorin viewed it. They would chat about what was going on in their lives, but she did notice that after Breck befriended Lewis, she noticed that he was often not coming down to dinner without argue. And she noticed that it was Lewis that was prompting these questions. He would question Breck, well, why would you be forced to eat if you're not even hungry? He even encouraged Breck to just ignore his mom's calls down to dinner.
What a piece of garbage. I mean, already, obviously, we know he's a piece of garbage because what's probably going to happen. But at the same time, it's like, man, he's really turning him a bad way. Right.
Super manipulative and controlling. So she started to have the feeling that she was in this constant battle with someone that she didn't even know. So in the summer of 2013, Lorin began to notice changes in her son's personality. He started to question and challenge her on things that he would previously do without hesitation. She obviously knows, though, that her son is a teenager, so she wasn't sure. Is this normal teenage behavior or is it something different?
And we're going through similar things with, our kids from time to time. And it's like, it's the exact same question. Mm-hmm. Is this just hormones and teenage stuff or is there something worse? We hope for the best.
Right. Because oftentimes it is very normal for a teenager to start to establish their boundaries and their opinions and things like that. But there is a fine line. You also have to respect your parents.
Right.
So his dreams of becoming a pilot were starting to waver because that was something that he really had his eyes set on. And he was actually in the Air Training Corps, where he was a member of the 135th Squadron. Now, all of a sudden, he's questioning maybe he should drop out of that. That was very alarming for her because Breck had really had this passion for ultimately becoming a pilot when he grew up. So Lewis was questioning Breck on why he would want to wear a uniform or follow their rules. He told Breck that there was no need for him to even finish school because he could get him a Microsoft apprenticeship when he turned 16.
Yeah, Lewis, aren't you the guy working for the government and following their rules? Man, that sucks.
So Breck's moods were suddenly low, and he began to distance himself from his family and spend more time alone in his room. So during this time, Lorin would often pop into her son's room to check to see what is he doing, who is he talking to, and what used to be funny messages and memes that would pop up on the screen when she would come in were now images of the Wicked Witch or Hitler, as if Lorin was the bad guy who was controlling her son rather than just being a concerned parent. Because obviously when a kid has their headset and microphone on, they can hear what's going on in the room. So oftentimes our son will mute it because otherwise we'll be like, Cameron, you better not stay up too late.
And I'll try to purposely get some words in there and be like, oh, do your friends know that you don't have any clothes on right now, Cam? He's like, shut up.
Why are you sitting at your computer naked right now, Cameron?
Yeah, it's weird.
So on December 17th, 2013, Lorin decided to contact the Surrey Police Department because she wanted to discuss her concerns that she believed that her son was being groomed by someone online who was at this point saying that he was 18 years old.
Man, she nailed it.
She did. So on multiple occasions, she had overheard Lewis preaching his anti-government beliefs to her son. So she feared that he was either grooming her son potentially for sexual purposes, maybe to even carry out terrorist attacks.
Oh my God, yeah, having the worst case scenario in your head. And she was right. Gosh.
So, you lay in bed at night as a parent and these scary thoughts pop into your head. Like, what is this kid's intentions? What does he want with my son? Because she was convinced it wasn't just a friendship. He wanted something. So during this 12-minute phone call, Lorin also voiced that her son was turning against his family, and she worried that the person online wasn't actually who he said he was. And she gave the police all the information that they needed. She gave his name as well as his username. They assured her that the police would carry out their checks and they would open an investigation if warranted. So when Lorin hung up the phone, she wanted Breck to know just how serious she was about the situation. So at this point in time, she took away all of his devices. However, as she walked out of his room, she didn't realize that she'd missed a small MP3 player. And this was how Breck was able to record a serious conversation that Lorin and Barry had with him about the whole situation and about all of their concerns. And she later learned that Lewis had instructed her son to do this so that he was able to hear word for word what was being said.
Oh, so he can know whether they're on them. Oh,
yeah.
My God.
So during their discussion, Lorin and Barry told Breck that they wanted to meet Lewis in person. And they suggested that maybe let's meet up for coffee or something.
Yeah, if he's totally cool, then yeah, go ahead, be friends.
Right.
But if there's any other questions, then you're done with him.
And it sounds like they were good parents. They wanted to support their kid because they could see that he saw something special in Lewis, but they wanted to know who this person was. They wanted to look him in the eyes, see what he looked like, what he seemed like, what kind of vibe, that sort of thing.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
So Breck, though, told them that this was something that Lewis wasn't comfortable with because he felt that parents were too judgmental. Why are they too judgmental? Maybe because you're a frickin' creep?
Yeah, pedophile.
So they offered to have Lewis's dad and Barry meet up, if that would make him more comfortable. But once again, this was declined. So since he wasn't willing to compromise on this situation, let them meet this guy in person, they forbade their son from having a further relationship moving forward with Lewis. So what Lorin and Barry had not realized at that point in time was that after they made this decision, Lewis sent their son a secret phone that cost him £600. And he did this so that they could continue to secretly communicate. So they're not sure when this phone arrived or where it was even delivered. But he would also send free software, games, and online upgrades to the boys, probably as a way to manipulate and trust.
Sure.
So since the police department didn't recognize the signs of grooming, the case was closed within an hour of Lorin's phone call when she called to express her concerns.
Well, looking from the police side, you have to have some reason to be able to have the search warrant, at least in the United States. And they don't have anything. It's just like somebody's stalking. It's like we can't do anything, unfortunately, until something happens.
But I will tell you that they closed the case without even checking anything.
Yeah,
they didn't even look this kid up.
That sucks.
So nothing was done. So according to Lorin, prior to Breck meeting Lewis, he had always been this open and honest person, but all of a sudden he was acting in this super secretive way because she feels he was truly being brainwashed. So during Christmas of 2013, the Bednar family had a wonderful time together. And the reason that Lorin felt that this was the case was because she'd taken her son's technology away. So he was no longer being manipulated and distracted. So at this point in time, he was present, he was interacting with his mom and his siblings, and things really started to feel normal again. So when he got his technology back and began gaming again with his usual group of friends, all seemed well. He was doing what was expected of him in terms of his homework and his chores. He was interacting with the family. He was coming back down to dinner without arguing. Things felt good again. So Lorin felt such a sense of relief, believing that Lewis was no longer in their son's life. So now moving forward to February of 2014, Breck traveled to Spain for an exchange trip. And as Lorin took photos of her son that day, she just felt such a sense of pride in her heart at just the person that he was becoming. And you think to yourself, man, this kid could really make a difference in this world. And she was so excited to see what kind of person her son would grow to be. And never in her wildest dreams did she imagine that as he walked away, it would be the last time she would ever see her beloved Breck. So now when Breck came home from this trip to Spain, Lorin was actually away. So it was Barry who picked him up from the airport. And his family could see just how happy he was. He seemed a lot more confident. His spirits were high. He even told them that he'd met a girl on his trip. So on Sunday, February 16th, 2014, this is a few days after Breck came home. He was actually on a half-term break from school, so he didn't have school the next day. So he asked his dad if he could visit a friend from school. And he said that his friend's name was Tom. They were basically going to hang out and build a new server together. So what Barry didn't know at the time was that Breck was actually going to meet Lewis for the very first time in person. And then later that evening, he texted his dad to ask could he spend the night at his friend's house, and Barry agreed. Everything seemed fine. So the next day was Monday, February 17th, and a 999 emergency call came through at 11:06 a.m. The caller told the dispatcher that he needed the police as well as a forensics team because he and his friend had gotten into an altercation, and he was the only one who came out alive. He admitted that he killed his friend, and he told the dispatcher that his name was Lewis Daines.
Essex Police Emergency.
Hi there. Hello. I need police and a forensics team to my address, please.
What do you mean? What's happened?
My friend and I got into an altercation, and I'm the only one who came out alive.
Are you telling me you've killed somebody?
Yes, I am.
Right, and who am I speaking to?
My name is Lewis Daines.
I can't believe we're hearing his voice, and I can't believe he asked specifically for a forensics team.
I know, that's such a strange thing to say.
It was like calculated.
Not only that, he sounded very eerily calm in that call. So Lorin recalls, for whatever reason, waking up with a sense of impending doom on that Monday morning, and it was a day that just so happened to be her birthday. And she later received a phone call from Barry, who explained that Breck had spent the night at a friend's house and he wasn't able to get a hold of him. So she immediately felt the sense of panic. And then when Barry called her back a second time, he had the unimaginable task of telling her that their son was dead at the hands of Louis Daines.
Man, that sucks so bad for so many reasons. You know, we're picturing our own son. Like I would die hearing that, you know, or our daughter, either one. And they both knew about this guy.
Right. It was their worst nightmare, like even more than they could have ever imagined. So in that moment, Lorin felt that a large part of herself died, and she remembers that she couldn't stop screaming to the point that she actually had to be sedated. She had always known that Louis was a bad guy. She knew that in her heart, but never, ever had she imagined that he was a killer. She didn't know what it was he wanted. Never did she think that he would have killed her son.
Yeah, and I mean, he sounds like similar age and everything, you know, for like 17. Like, it sounds like that's exactly who he was. His name was Louis Daines. Maybe you're going to tell us otherwise, but...
No, that's actually his name.
Okay, so like this kid was who he said he was, basically, and like I was picturing some 40-year-old pedophile.
No, not at all. So Louis went on to tell the dispatcher that Breck had come over to spend the night the day before, and he had been feeling very down and suicidal. And Barry would tell you that's an absolute lie. When Breck left that Sunday, that was not the case at all. So when Louis woke up on Monday morning, he described his friend as a mess. And he said that although he tried to calm him down, he was unable to do so. He calmly explained that Breck did not want to go home, and he grabbed a folded penknife. He opened it, and Louis said that he lost control. They started to struggle over the knife, and in self-defense, Louis tried to stop Breck from stabbing him. So when he got the knife from him, he eventually slashed his friend's throat in self-defense. He dropped the knife in the hallway, and then he went to take a shower. Yeah, because that's normal.
Right.
And it wasn't until after he got out of the shower that he called 999. And investigators believe that he waited this time so that he could concoct a story for what he had done and what happened in that apartment. So as officers arrived, they placed Louis under arrest. And Breck's sister, Chloe, recalls coming home to find two officers at their house, and they were asking her if her brother was home. And it wasn't long before Barry arrived and the kids began to hear their dad screaming in grief. And as investigators were breaking this horrible, horrible news to Barry, the 12-year-old triplets learned of their brother's murder from people online. So investigators learned that after Louis murdered Breck, he took photos of the boy's body and he sent them to other members of the gaming group who went on to spread the message around. So according to Lorin, her 12-year-old triplets first learned that their brother was dead when they received a text message from other children at their school who had siblings who had gotten word that these horrible images existed. So when Clifton Pell, who's a digital forensic analyst, arrived at Louis's flat in Essex, he saw that it was tidy and he could see his laptop in the family room on the couch. So when he went into Louis's bedroom to take the computer, Breck's body was still lying on the floor, covered in blood, as was the bed and the laptop. There were 3 cell phones and a couple of hard drives in the bathroom sink that were soaking in water. Highly, highly suspicious. Yep. So evidence that was found at Louis's flat was not at all consistent with what he had told the dispatcher. Investigators found duct tape in a garbage can in the bedroom, as well as in a garbage can that was outside. Evidence suggested that there had been some kind of sexual activity between Breck and Louis at some point in time. DNA on the tape matched the hairs on Breck's legs, and they found a tube of lubricant that had blood on it, as well as bloodied clothing. The evidence painted a picture of Breck being restrained and assaulted rather than being uncontrollable with emotion as Louis claimed that he was. So the last activity on Breck's laptop was at 9:15 a.m. on Monday morning, less than 2 hours before Lewis called 999. So evidence suggested that Breck had been lured to Lewis's flat and the crime had truly been premeditated. He was promised a good time with gaming and pizza, two things that Breck absolutely loved.
Who doesn't?
So when they found a bag of Breck's belongings, investigators saw that all of Breck's devices had been destroyed, except for one that was still intact inside of his bag. Clearly, Lewis overlooked this device because had he not, investigators wouldn't have been able to get evidence that was really useful in this case. So investigators saw that one of the hard drives that had been submerged in water in the bathroom sink, it had actually been opened and slashed at with a knife. So it was very clear that this kid was doing damage control and getting rid of evidence because this obviously stopped this hard drive from working. So they were able to gain access into Breck's tablet, where they saw much of the communication between Breck and Lewis over the course of more than a year. So review of Breck's devices proved that during the relationship that he had with Lewis, there was absolutely zero discussion of sex. Breck simply saw their relationship as nothing but a friendship over a shared love of technology and computers. So in January of 2014, this is 6 weeks before Breck was murdered, communication on Breck's devices discussed his upcoming trip to Spain. And based on their conversations, it was very obvious that Lewis was very concerned because he was afraid he was losing control. He knew that Breck would be traveling in another country with a group of friends, and he was often messaging Breck, asking what he was doing. Why wasn't he contacting him? He was clearly fearful of losing control. So Lewis started messaging Breck about this opportunity that could potentially pay him 85 million pounds.
Right.
So he alluded that he was either sick or dying, and it would be Breck that would take over his company. He told him, "You are in a man's world now, so you need to step up." So since Breck would be taking over this business, Lewis told them that they had to meet. They had to speak in person because they would be discussing sensitive details about this whole arrangement. And that a lot of this stuff was very, very, intricate. So it was very important that they go ahead and meet in person. That's how he was able to establish this whole thing. Obviously, Breck is a 14-year-old boy. He simply saw this as this amazing once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and he wouldn't have recognized that what was happening was actually coercive control. So Lewis instructed Breck to tell his dad that he would be meeting a friend who was also 14 years old, and they would be going over to the boy's dad's house. He thought about everything. So Barry was under the impression that his son was literally a couple of streets away from his own home rather than 30 miles away in Essex. So exactly what happened inside Lewis's flat is unknown. We'll probably never know it. But Lorin knows for sure that at some point her son realized that his life was in grave danger, and her heart breaks to imagine that moment. How scared Breck must have been when he was tied up, he was gagged, and he was stabbed by somebody that he trusted, somebody that he saw as a trusted close friend. So Breck was laid to rest on St. Patrick's Day, which was March 17th, 2014, a day that would have been his 15th birthday. The family was then left to learn how to navigate through life without their beloved Breck. Lorin recalls that the year after her son's death was a time that she went through life like a zombie. She basically only managed to crawl out of bed for the triplets' school events or things that had to do with Breck. And she recognizes and acknowledges the fact that her 12-year-olds not only lost their brother, but they also lost a normally functioning mother at that point. So on November 25th, 2014, Lewis appeared in court. And Lorin was truly stunned to see, because this is the first time she's laying eyes on this kid.
Wow.
How young he truly appeared to be, despite the fact that at this point in time, he was 19 years old. to her, he probably resembled maybe somebody that was like 15 or 16.
Yeah, if you're watching or listening, go look at him right now. I mean, that's he looks like a kid.
He looks like a kid. And she couldn't understand why her son ended up dead, why he did what he did, because had he just presented himself as a normal friend, he would have been welcomed into their home and into their son's life.
Well, clearly this kid's got tons of stuff wrong with him.
Absolutely. So Lewis was maintaining the story of self-defense until the day that he shocked everyone and he suddenly changed his plea to guilty. So obviously this saved Breck's family from going through the horrific ordeal of a trial. And on January 12th, 2015, Lewis Danes was sentenced to life with a minimum term of 25 years.
So dumb. Sorry.
Dumb.
I always have to stop. I know that's how it is in Europe, but it's just so dumb.
So he would be about 44 years old then when he was released.
Like he deserves to be burned or thrown into an ocean and drowned. Like he's useless. Like he's such a like he hurt so many people for his own sick sexual needs. Like just man, he should have just offed himself.
And he just should never have the opportunity to walk free from prison because Breck will never have the opportunity to live another day.
That, and also clearly he is not fixable. Like this kid is off the range.
Exactly. So here's my thing. If he was capable of doing something this horrific at 18 years old, what will he be capable of doing at 44 years old if he gets out at 25 years?
Yeah, nothing good because he got a taste of something that he liked, and then these monsters just keep getting worse and worse.
Right. And I have absolutely no doubt that this kid or guy or man, whatever he will be when he's ultimately released, will be a danger to other men or boys.
Whatever he is a monster.
Right.
He needs to leave the earth.
So obviously Breck's family felt that 25 years was not enough for what he had done to their brother and their son. They were shocked that someone so young could have been capable of such control and evil. He was a mastermind, and this took place over a year. This started when he was 17.
I mean, it's not I don't like calling him anything positive. I wouldn't say a mastermind. He wanted what he wanted so bad that he really went after it.
Yeah.
He was very dedicated.
True.
I wouldn't say he's a mastermind. He's a piece of garbage and scum of the earth and the worst of the worst.
So Lorin learned that Lewis had a record, and he had previously groomed a boy from the United States as well as boys from the UK.
Wow.
He had also sexually assaulted a boy his own age when he was as young as 15 years old.
These are the kind of kid you got to keep tabs on.
Seriously scary. So at this point in time when he was 15 and this happened, he claimed that it had been a consensual relationship. He was also known to have indecent images of young boys on his computer. So after Lewis was abandoned by his mom when he was 11 years old, he went into the foster care system. He lived with his grandma part-time, and then when he turned 18, he got his own flat, and neighbors of this flat described him as reclusive. So although through their pain and grief, because obviously Lorin was just utterly gutted and devastated.
Because she did all the right things. She knew this guy was a danger. She thought, okay, he's out of our lives now. On to something else, unfortunately. And unfortunately, it wasn't. But
her biggest thing was that she wanted to do something to honor her precious son's life. So she went on to create the Breck Foundation in 2014. The organization raises awareness of the risks of online grooming, exploitation, and digital abuse of children. And it was her goal that what happened to her son not happen to anyone else. She obviously was going through such hell that she wanted to stop another family from suffering as they were.
Yeah, because there's nothing you can do about bringing your son back, but you can try to save someone else.
So she educates young people to recognize the risks so that they could potentially see what might be happening to themselves, a friend, or a sibling. Mostly they're educating so that they can spot the signs in someone else, because she acknowledges the extent that when someone's in it and when they're being groomed, oftentimes they can't see the forest through the trees. Is that the expression?
Yep.
It's very hard to recognize what's happening when you're being groomed.
Because you're kind of like, not in love, but like you're obsessed with this person. Like, oh my gosh, they're so cool. Everything I talk about, they're interested in. You're getting a lot of positive feedback. And then it's like, they said, they want to talk to me so bad that they're telling me to not listen to my mom. So yeah, I can do this. And then it kind of feels fun and dangerous.
It's almost like being put under a spell, really. Yeah. So when Breck was murdered, Lorin had been working in a school. And she would talk about her concerns, what was happening to Breck. And she noticed, though, that no one was really taking her seriously. And no one was really talking about the issue of online grooming. It was almost like this tale that happens to other people. Like,
Right.
It doesn't happen to us. It doesn't happen to our kids.
I mean, because it's rare enough. Like in the beginning, you said they're everywhere, but predators aren't everywhere. Like 99%
You'd be
of people.
surprised.
No, I wouldn't. They're not.
You would be.
They're not everywhere. Like most of the people you talk to on a daily basis are not a predator.
I think that's an ignorant way of thinking.
You think most are predators?
No, not most, but they're
Okay.
there. You
But-
just have to understand
Yeah.
that they are there.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So since there was a lack of training, she felt that it wasn't being taken seriously. Students were instructed, obviously, to avoid talking to strangers online, to not give out personal information, don't take an image of themselves with their address in the background or their school uniform visible. But they weren't given real information to understand what a safe relationship looks like. They weren't told what grooming, control, and manipulation looked like. These were signs that Breck had been unable to see because he saw Lewis as nothing but a friend.
And it's so hard to get kids' attention these days because the dopamine is, so needed because of the scrolling and everything. So it's like you can't have a 40-minute seminar with a bunch of middle school kids. They're not going to be able to listen for 40 minutes.
Right. So I'm sure she keeps it short and sweet. But the point is, she is a person who lived through this. She could show an image of her son's face and say, this happened to Breck.
Right.
It can happen to you. So after her son's death, when Lorin spoke with Breck's teachers, they admitted they had noticed changes in her son's personality and the fact that he had pulled away from school, he stopped participating in classroom discussions. These are all signs that something's going on. But like we talked about in the beginning of the episode, unfortunately, it can be, clouded over by just normal teenage changes. Because when our daughter was, say, 8 years old, she was with us all the time. She couldn't get enough of the time she spent with us. Now she just turned 14. She wants to be talking to her friends. And that's normal. So it's hard sometimes to see the difference there.
You want to give their independence, and it's hard to determine if it's hormones or if it's something different.
Right. Is it
bad.
something deeper or something bad? So when she spoke with the parents of her son's gaming group, they weren't sure who their children were speaking with online. They didn't really seem very concerned about it. So on top of educating children and teachers to recognize the signs of grooming, she also educates the police as well as anyone else who works with children. She speaks at many conferences and events. Breck's case ended in the most unimaginable tragedy of murder, but many children might be exposed to things that can, lead for them to have mental health struggles. This might be the sharing of sexual images, abuse, blackmail. Like we said, God forbid you share a nude pic and then this person starts to blackmail you. I'm going to send this to everyone in your school. That's control. This can affect their self-esteem because once somebody is manipulated and controlled, they think, man, I'm such a fool. I didn't even see what was happening. But that's just because that person is very skilled and manipulative. So although Lorin's triplets aren't into online gaming as their big brother was, one of her daughters has experienced issues through social media when she was contacted by a wannabe predator who are copycats of Breck's killer. Who does this?
The worst people alive.
They actually had to go through a court case to address their issues. As if this family hasn't suffered enough, let's just throw some more crap at them.
Yeah, these predators don't care.
So even though what happened to their family has been anyone's worst nightmare, Lorin would never wish for social media or online gaming to disappear because she knew it was one of her son's favorite things. She understands that technology is a natural part of a teen's life. It's not going away. She sees that. She just wants children who are exposed to the internet, which is everyone, to be educated and to find balance. So the Breck Foundation focuses on empowerment and it encourages proactive behavior. And they encourage that if a child sees something, that they say something to a trusted adult. In 2016, the docudrama Murder Games, The Life and Death of Breck Bednar was released. This covers Breck's story. Breck's friends and family tell their story about the manipulation that engulfed Breck when he met Louis Danes online. Since her son was such an exceptional human, Lorin is left to wonder what Breck may have achieved in life. Breck's story is a reminder that even when your children are inside the safety of their own home, they could be at risk by a person that's hiding behind a screen, disguising themselves as a friend. Breck was a highly intelligent young boy who simply loved gaming, as so many other teens his age do. His story highlights how predators can be lurking in the most ordinary corners of everyday life, able to manipulate even the most careful of families. If you're concerned that a child or a young person is being groomed online, you can contact the Known to Protect tip line at 833-591-KNOW, which is KNOW, or 5669, or submit a cyber tip line report at report.cybertip.org. And that is the sad and tragic murder of Breck Bednar.
And are those phone number, is the phone number for the US only, I would guess?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay,
but if you go online and just type in, I would like to,
use Google.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So just a terribly, terribly sad and tragic case. And watching the documentary really struck me because I just saw the grief in this mother's eyes. She looked like somebody that I would be friends with. I mean, a great family, loving, safe. She took all the steps she should have taken. At the point in time when her son was killed, she truly felt like things were going the right way. Her son had literally just gotten back from Spain days earlier. He was so excited. Never in their wildest dreams did they expect that this is how their son's life would have ended.
Yep, that's so incredibly sad. And I have all the faith in the world that Lorin, the mom, is going to do and continues to do a great job of spreading the word. Like, she just seems like someone that has, I don't know her obviously, but she has her stuff together. And she was so on top of things to identify that. And Lorin, if you ever see this, I'm so incredibly sorry. I couldn't imagine losing our son.
Or daughter.
Daughter.
It happens to girls too.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. But I'm just picturing like this is a teenage
we're talking
son.
about a boy.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was so touching too, because her triplets, they were saying like, my mom is the most awe-inspiring person who has ever existed.
She sounds incredible, and all you would do as a parent is beat yourself up, and that's not going to do anything. So please, I hope she's not doing that. Obviously she's going to have very sad days and such, but she sounds like she's awesome and doing the right thing, spreading the word. So thanks for your hard work, Lorin.
And it just breaks my heart that every year that her birthday rolls around, that's the anniversary of her son's death. I mean, it's just so tragic.
You got to try to turn it into something positive. Try to save other kids.
Absolutely. That's all you can do. But I mean, it's just so scary to think when you look at this kid's eyes, this Louis Danes, like, my gosh, what he was capable of at such a young age. It's truly terrifying. And I can only hope that when his chance for parole comes up, that they keep him there.
Yeah, when you let me listen to the audio and saw his face, I was like, wow, he's a kid. He's a kid. Freaking kid. All he wanted was, unfortunately, essaying this poor boy.
Yeah.
And then killed him at the end. That's
just
terrible.
Tragic. And like the family says, like, they have no idea what happened in that apartment, but the moment that her son knew his life was in danger, like, is what just holds in her heart of how scared he must have been.
Stories like these are really important to spread around. So whatever you can do to, share this to whoever you know, I mean, I think it would go a long way. And also, I recently found out about something on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, you can hype us. It's called Hype, HYPE. It's something new. Somebody said they just gave us 9,000 hype points. So
thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah. So the way it works is, if you're a small creator, which we are considered a small creator on YouTube, we need a lot of help. So if you're watching this, go try to find the hype button. I think it's on the mobile app, I think is what I've heard.
Maybe you should have researched that.
No, that's what they tell me.
Ahead of time.
So it didn't come up on our page because I'm not, I own the page. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's, from what I'm told, it's on the mobile app side, but just like, it's almost in the like area, but something called hype. And if the more you hype it, then we get higher on the scoreboard and we get discovered by more things. So please just hype us up if you could.
And I can't tell you how much we would truly, truly appreciate that, because we really are trying to grow our YouTube channel. And like we have said a million times over, our son is working hard on our videos. And we've had a few struggles with that, but he's a teenage boy.
Right.
What are you going to do?
And so hype only works for the first 7 days of a video. So don't go back on the old ones, just this one. If you're watching this within 7 days of release, then please just hype this video.
Yeah. Thank you guys. And thank you so much for listening, for following us along, for sending us supportive words. It means truly the world to us.
Yep.
And we just thank you.
Our community is the best.
We feel like you guys are. Yeah. Yep. So thank you for being awesome. We hope that you guys have a wonderful week. We are officially in December. It's craziness. Somebody
let's wrap this up, Allison.
Don't tell me to effing wrap it up.
I want to try to tell you every single episode.
Oh
to
my
wrap it
God.
up.
When he does that,
She's like, and this, and be good, and I hope you're having a great day, and I hope you're breathing oxygen. It's like,
and
we get it.
meanwhile, you're going on and wasting my time and all of our listeners' time. So what I meant to say was I saw this meme that was kind of funny. It said something about like, take your regular anxiety and make it like holiday anxiety.
Yeah.
You've got lights and twinkles, but it's that much more amped up.
With sprinkles and peppermint all over it.
Exactly.
And I read something about anxiety. Anxiety is just a prediction. So don't worry too much. It's just a bad prediction. And maybe, just be like, whatever, I can't control it. It's just that simple.
It's basically like fearing what you have no control of in the future. But that's so much easier said than done.
Yeah, I was joking. It's not simple.
Anyway, are you okay for me to wrap this up, Mike?
I was about
Is that
30 seconds
okay?
ago. 30 seconds.
Okay, I just need to make sure it's okay.
45 seconds ago.
And on that note, until next time, bye.
Your reaction's the best.
What a freaking a-hole.
Let's wrap this up.
I'll wrap you up.
Yeah, well, that'd be cool.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.